It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show. Yeah, self-love at an all-time high. It's a feeling I can't even describe. Used to watch from the side, heart beating full of ego and pride. Scared of living, more fearful to die. Never minds had me second-guessing. It's suppression blocking my blessings. Now I'm manifesting. Set intentions, the paper stretching. People asking questions that they wonder what changed with me. Learn to switch to fit if it can't fit me. Just stay with me. Listen, animosity gradually on the decline. Respiratory flowing when I recline. About to catch a flight, throw the peace sign. New city, new state. Shit, I'm leaving on my baggage in my suitcase. Money is rising, my skin looking vibrant. I'm moving with impeccable timing. It's more than just rhyming. All this beauty that's around me, plus we luxury dining. Only reason y'all be tripping, cause you nickel and diamond. Ooh, peep the je ne sais quoi. Feel the vibe. I'm just grateful that I'm still alive. I thank God, homie. You thank God, man. I thank God, man. Blessings. Yeah. Peep the je ne sais quoi. Feel the vibe. I'm just grateful that I'm still alive. I thank God. Yeah. We thank God, homie. Yeah. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there this afternoon, going into the evening. Okay. Now, y'all know I was just on here yesterday. We were going through the new lawsuit that was filed against Drake, Steak, and Aiden Ross. And in that lawsuit, I said, hey, we still haven't seen the appeal come from Drake. I said it was going to be an uphill battle. Well, one day later, we now have the appeal from Drake, okay? So, of course, this is pertaining to the already dismissed lawsuit from Drake against UMG. This is a defamation suit, all right? Heavily leaning onto Not Like Us, going through the lyrics. He felt like he was being threatened. He felt like his home was attacked due to Not Like Us, and he accused UMG of botting the song in order to make it seem like it was more popular than it was. He also accused UMG of leveraging their industry connections so that Kendrick Lamar could win at the Grammys and other award shows and also perform at the Super Bowl, even though Kendrick Lamar had already made a previous appearance at the Super Bowl halftime show with Dr. Dre. Right? All information that we've talked about at length, we all know this thoroughly, but unfortunately for Drake, he's not going out without a fight. So it's very possible this thing could be drug out for an additional year. Now, let's just say Southern District of New York does the right thing and says, get the fuck out of here. Then we can move on. But we'll just have to see how they play it. All right? So first thing I'm going to do is get into the Billboard article, and then we're going to get to the actual paperwork. So here we are on Billboard, and it says, Drake files appeal to revive defamation case over Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. The superstar isn't ready to concede defeat after a judge dismissed his lawsuit against UMG diss track lyrics that labeled him a certified PDF. What a jacket that is. Okay. It ain't over yet, they say. Drake has formally launched his appeal of a court ruling that dismissed his defamation lawsuit against Universal Music Group over Kendrick Lamar's diss track Not Like Us. The move on Wednesday is the first step aimed at reversing that ruling, in which a federal judge ruled earlier this month that Drake could not sue over Kendrick's lyrics that called him a certified PDF. The star lawyers, who say millions of fans took that claim literally, had already vowed to appeal the decision. Remember, the same day that the dismissal came, they made it very clear what their intentions were. Jesus, what is this? It could very well take over a year for the appeals court to rule on Drake's case, prolonging a messy legal drama that has captivated the music industry and, at times, drawn ridicule in the hip-hop world. If the appeal court sides with Drake, it could mean years more litigation after that. And from every lawyer that I've seen even take on this topic, they don't feel that he has much of a case. But what the fuck is all of this jambalaya? All right, I found another website that took the Billboard shit because they want you to read it on Billboard Pro. They want you to sign up for that shit. I found a little archive site that would have got it, but it was a little fucked up. So let's move on. Okay? They say it could take well over a year for the appeals court to rule on Drake's case, prolonging a messy legal drama that has captivated the music industry and at times drawn ridicule in the hip hop world. If the appeals court sides with Drake, it could mean years more litigation. We just read that. In his new court filing, Drake formally stated his intention to appeal, but did not include any detailed arguments on how he will do so. Such arguments are made in later briefs at the appeals court, where lawyers for both sides will eventually make their case. A rep for Drake told Billboard on Wednesday, and we see Drake's reps still speaking, which I find to be very interesting, as they were very active in speaking to the press. We even had Megan Cuniff come out and say that Drake's legal team were sending her emails to try to get her to, speak to the public on her Twitter page and different social media to speak on their intentions and how they felt. And they don't even like Megan. You know what I'm saying? And she wasn't advocating for Drake in any way either. But they made sure she didn't even know how they got her fucking contact, but she's not that hard to find. But it just goes to show you how they're trying to plant seeds in the press. Something that they've claimed UMG was doing. I'll digress. A rep for Drake told Billboard on Wednesday, which is today, "This confirms our intent to appeal, and we look forward to the Court of Appeals reviewing that filing in the coming weeks." A spokesman for UMG did not immediately return a request for comment, so UMG, they're a little silent right now. They're a little quiet. Typically, they have a response, but maybe they'll have something out this week. Just a little nudge to the people. We'll see. Lamar released Not Like Us in May 2024 amid a war of words with Drake that saw the two UMG stars release a series of bruising diss tracks. The song, a knockout punch that blasted Drake as a certified PDF over an infectious beat, became a chart-topping hit in its own right and won 5 Grammy Awards, including Record and Song of the Year, which Drake has been calling home sick about. In January, Drake took UMG to court over the song, claiming his own label had defamed him by boosting his popularity. The lawsuit, which didn't name Lamar himself as a defendant, although his name was literally on every page, alleged that UMG waged a campaign against its own artist to spread a malicious narrative about PDF activity that it knew to be false. Okay? He says that this was an orchestrated takedown of Drake. Very similar to what Kanye was trying to get at last year. Those claims stunned the music industry. Few expected a rapper to respond to a diss track with a lawsuit. Few, I don't think any. A move that drew heckles in the hip-hop world, and condemnation from legal scholars. Even the legal scholars said, boy, what are you doing? Fewer still expected him to file it against UMG, his longtime record label and the biggest music company in the world. Just 10 months after Drake filed it, Judge Jeanette Vargas did the right thing and dismissed the case. Yes, I put that in there. She said Kendrick's insulting lyrics were the kind of hyperbole that could be defamatory. Cannot be, I'm all fucked up once again, day 2. Because listeners would not think they were statements of fact. She said fans didn't expect to hear an accurate, factual reporting from a diss track replete with profanity, trash talking, threats of violence, and figurative and hyperbolic language. The artist's 7-track rap battle was a war of words that was the subject of substantial media scrutiny and online discourse, especially over here on this channel. Although the accusation that plaintiff is a PDF is certainly a serious one, the broader context of a heated rap battle with incendiary language and offensive accusations hurled by both participants, which was a key factor, would not incline the reasonable listener to believe that Not Like Us imparts verifiable facts about plaintiff. Right? Because let's just say if Kendrick would have just said, fuck the big 3, nigga, it's just big me, nigga, bomb. And Drake never responds. We never receive a Not Like Us. If he went about his way, didn't diss, if he would have stuck to his words, diss me and you never hear a reply for it. Remember when he used to have them hand? Diss me and you never hear a reply for it. If he would have stuck to his own words, He would have never found himself in this predicament if he would have not mentioned Kendrick's woman, whether she be wife or fiance or otherwise. If he didn't play with the integrity of her vagina about whether or not she slept with Dave Free, we wouldn't have gotten to this place. But Drake takes no accountability. He don't even take accountability for his own accounts, which is why we're seeing what's going on with Steak. Now, there's a very short filing from Drake and his legal team. Notice of appeal to the courts. It was just filed this morning. Notice of appeal. Plaintiff Aubrey Drake Graham hereby appeals from the district court's opinion and order entered on October 9th, 2025. So it took about 20 days. He had 30 to file in the above captioned case to the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. So this will be passed along to the Second Circuit. All right. So again, very quickly, very succinct, Wilkie Farr, same legal team that he's been with for the entirety of this case. I feel like they've gravely misled him, and he's still accepting it, you know? And not only are they misleading him, he's actually out here aiding Aiden Ross and trying to direct him in the so-called right direction for his own legal team with the lawsuit that they're both defendants in with Steak. I don't know if I'm Aiden Ross, I'm not accepting that advice, nigga. Didn't you just lose one? You might win some, but you just lost one. I don't need your legal advice, homie. You've been out here taking L's for the last 18 months, damn near. Sorry for ya. I'm gonna go out on this one myself. I'll figure it out. Now, I'm not experienced in law, right? I have no experience. I've never worked at a law firm, in a law office. I've done nothing in that field, okay? So someone who's got a little bit more expertise in this field, shout out to Absa. She talked about this earlier today, and she got into a little bit of how the process works with appeals, how this is going to play out. And she can only predict so much based on, not having access to all of these courts and stuff, and we don't know what timeline they're going to play with. But she gives us an overview of kind of what to expect. All right.
Based on the rudimentary math happening in my head right now, his actual appeal, the actual document that we will gather and read together to determine, okay, what are his grounds for his appeal, will be filed next year in January. Maybe at the end of this year, very late December, probably into January or February, March, just depending on the circumstances of that document, okay? What the court dictates and then what the appellant requires to be able to file it. So that happens. And then the court, in that determining what the schedule is going to be for this case, they then also tell UMG when their submission is due to the docket, and that will come several months after the actual appeal document is filed, okay? And then from there, so let me stop there. So the appeal document is not based on new evidence. They cannot enter new evidence. It is not based on a new argument.
I'm going to pause that right there. Now, remember, just a couple weeks ago, OVO Mall over there on the Roy and Mall show, he was implying that Drake was going to file an appeal and he was going to present new evidence that was going to compel the courts to want to reopen this case, right? To send it to a new judge and, have someone else get a look at this and say, okay, Drake, I can't believe it. Oh my God. They turned a blind eye. This is new evidence. Let's get you right on in here. Okay? Absent here, she says that is not the case. New evidence shall not be presented. So Drake is going to present his same argument, all the same everything, and he will be leaning on, I guess, if this new judge finds something that may have been overlooked in the original paperwork. Nothing new, only the same run of events that we've already covered, and a new judge basically going through it and saying, haha, you jumped. Yeah, I get what I'm saying. Let's keep going.
A new legal standard saying, oh, we found something new. Please reconsider. This is not that, okay? A lot of people conflate in their mind components that they are just aware of out there of a criminal process and a civil process, a federal process, a local process. We're talking about federal court of appeals for a civil lawsuit. So there is no new evidence, there's no new information, there's no new legal argument. The only thing that they can actually attempt to argue to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals is that the judge misunderstood or misapplied the law. Okay? The laws that she cited in her ruling that dictate, not justify, dictate dismissal. It will be interesting to see what their arguments are. I couldn't begin to tell you. I don't have the foggiest idea what they're going to say, but it's going to be one of those two things because the only thing that the original judge had purview over in a motion to dismiss is matters of law. Okay? Things like evidence, smoking guns, proof, those things are matter of fact and they are irrelevant to the motion to dismiss and her determination in the motion to dismiss that is dictated to her by existing law, including, if you watched the live or the follow-up videos from her decision to dismiss the case, she relies on Second Circuit Court of Appeals decisions, pre-existing decisions, to determine that the law dictates that the case be dismissed.
Now that's interesting. Okay. Now, of course, we read through this stuff, but I'm not a professional in this field. So she says that the judge has already used Second Circuit appeals in her decision-making process. So they're even going to have to look and say, well, shit, we've already used these grounds for dismissal. So what is going to make this situation so vastly different from prior decision-making, which I think, again, is going to make it very complicated for Drake and his legal team because the judge already told you, you presented a heap of horse shit. All right. This ain't, I'm not no legal professional. I could talk to you like how I want to talk to you. You presented horse shit. The judge said, you ain't even give me nothing to look at. All you did was make a docket of paperwork talking about information and belief. I still, for the life of me, don't understand how that man and his legal team wrote that he had literal employees from UMG who would come forward and confirm that he knew information about them doing nefarious dealings behind the scenes for this song specifically to sideswipe Drake. And not once did we get a declaration from a single employee at UMG. I still am baffled. Even through the discovery process, we never received not a single declaration. The only declaration we received was from fucking Monet Merchant. And I've already said enough about her. I don't want to go in today. And goddamn Joe Cat. Shout out to Joe Cat, man. His ass tried to come in and get in. Like he wanted to come in and stomp on Debo too. You feel me? That's all that was. He wanted to come in and get his stomp on Debo so he could memorialize his shoe. But we never saw no employees from UMG. You know, he claimed he had proof. He claimed he had uh this Kojo person who was gonna come up and admit to botting and all of this stuff. They served Kojo the goddamn subpoena, and Kojo still ain't had to show his damn face. He got a subpoena and said, "Subpoena." Well, this shit ain't embarrassing, and you still pouring more money into this. More money, more money, more money. You got to be more careful than this, man. Go back. Well, don't go back in the booth. Don't go back in the studio. Your shit been ice cold. Ice cold! Need to be the name of your motherfucking album, and your album need to be sold in Hallmark stores for how sad this shit finna get. Fuck you talking about? I'm gonna let Absa get a little bit more in, and then we're gonna conclude for the day on this one.
Okay. So they're going to argue one or two things. So what happens after he actually files it, which will be sometime next year, and then UMG actually puts in their submission, which will be even later into the year? Nothing happens. A bunch of technical, wonky, literally no reason to have a live things happen on the docket, much of which we can see entries of, but we can't actually see any documents. We can't see it. This is a very technical process. So towards the end of 2026, where we will pick this back up, right? We will, after the new year, more than likely, 99.9% sure it's going to be probably January, but we'll see what the court determines the schedule will be. And when that comes out, I will let you know. But this is not going to be one of those things that is like being. It doesn't happen that way. So so we will gather when he does actually file the appeal document. I'm going to say next year. We will gather when UMG files their submission. Again, first, second quarter next year, and then fourth quarter next year. At the end of 2026, we will gather to see what the parties have filed in terms of their introductions or overviews of what their oral arguments are going to be before the court. So we'll get a glimpse into that, and we'll gather for that. And then they will go and they will actually have oral arguments. At some point in time, we'll get a transcript. And then in 2027,
Sheesh.
the Court of Appeals will make its decision.
So we gonna be awaiting about another year and a half of this bullshit, if not longer, in simplest nigga terms. You feel me? Shout out to Absa one more time, man. Good job. All right. So basically, based on what Absa just said, we're not gonna know what's gonna happen till 2027, dog. All right. And it's not gonna be explosive. It's gonna be filings that are basically not even going to be publicly in view. And what that tells me is we're in for another year minimum of what I was talking about earlier in this video of Drake and his team feeding the press. If you want to get a glimpse into what I mean, just look at Tory Lanez, right? Tory Lanez has been grandstanding all year, for the last couple years, about this appeal, how they had new evidence, how they had a smoking gun that was going to get him out, that stabbing allegedly that happened in the jail. They tried to use that as a reason to get him out early or send him to Canada. None of which has been successful. They thought that was going to get him early release because he was in such a volatile situation. He had all these people coming out speaking on his behalf, revisiting the case. We need to reopen this case. He had Rep Diana, whoever the fuck, Diana London, Rep Lunacy, or whatever her name is, coming out speaking on his behalf. We're gonna get him out. They're doing news conferences and all this shit. Now, of course, this isn't a criminal case, so it's not gonna have the same magnitude. But if you think that Drake is not gonna be sending his noble, loyal idiots information like Maul, Aiden Ross, the DJ that don't spin, if you don't think over the course of the next year and some change that they're going to be trying to put Easter eggs out there and hype up his intentions and, oh, we got something coming that's going to be explosive. They're going to start forming narratives of how things are bubbling behind the scenes, because if you're telling me, like Abs is saying, that the dockets are not going to be in public view, then what they're going to do is give their version of the story. And they're going to be able to try to control that narrative, because people like myself are not necessarily going to be able to have a live view of what's going on in the papers. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be a lot more spaced out in terms of when paperwork is submitted and if we get access to it, all that type of stuff. So I'm just giving y'all a little expectation from the outside of what's going to happen. There's going to be noise, but nothing is going to be legit. I'm going to just go ahead and put that out there. Expect a lot of fluff from the people that you've already grown to expect it from. All right? Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. I will catch y'all on the next one. All right? Peace. Yeah, family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul, independent, I've been setting trends. The first one from my family to be faithfully wed. Fuck niggas and the horses that they riding on. I see this shit from all angles like a polygon. I'll never politic and the drama be piling on. Father and great son acknowledged like I'm Bobby Bonds. Conversation with my lady about the paper route. 5-6 bank accounts every day, I make it count. They down talking my commentary for hating now. Well, I can take it cause I'm bodying your favorite now, please. I can do this shit in my sleep. I been writing for these niggas, y'all read it and weep. I been fighting these niggas if you speak on the street. I'll turn your birthday party into New Year's Eve. Don't let me take it there. We ain't playing fair. This the ATL, Southside nigga moving furniture like Wayfair. Life on hold, no insurance for your healthcare. Lifeline gone, so you wanna be a millionaire? Well, let me tell you about this world I built. The women I dodged, the niggas that I read for filth. The sympathy cause consulting for the stacks I built. I had to